Hello, welcome to Moist Nougat. I am the kid. It's been a while. Uh, Basically, like 4 months. Um, those of you that have listened to the podcast or followed the podcast, you know that Dana Lee was the co-host, my dad, and he and my mom were planning a move to Florida a while back. So I went out and I recruited a a new co-host, a replacement for Dana Lee, and Marnie joined us for 15 episodes, and right after, right before we recorded episode 116. Marnie had to leave for personal reasons, and so Dana Lee and I recorded episode 116. It was a little flat, and I think the wind was taken out of our sails a little bit. So after we recorded episode 116, we took a little time off, and we needed it. We've been going strong for over 2 years, with just a week or two off here once in a while. And right when we were getting ready to ramp it back up, Dana Lee got an opportunity or a reason to go to Florida immediately. So basically, within 4 or 5 days, they were on their way to Florida. So that took the wind out of my sails even more because I hadn't planned for that scenario that quickly. But so I took a bunch of time off. Dana Lee went to Florida, and I put some feelers out there for another co-host. With no luck, really. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I just was. That's how I found Marnie was on Nextdoor. I figured I'd put a few feelers out there on Nextdoor. Got a few bites here and there, but people tend to, yeah, I'm interested, and then, they like respond to your ad, if that's what you want to call it, an ad. Basically looking for anybody interested in podcasting. Yeah, I'm definitely interested, and so you go, yeah, cool, let's chat about it, and you never hear from them again. So I don't know if they're having a few cocktails or something and think that's something they want to do, and then when they're sober, they decide, oh, man, I probably should have kept my mouth shut. I don't want to really do that. But so I've tried putting feelers out there a couple times. Got a few people that might be interested, and I'm taking it a little bit slower this time. I enjoy this process, the podcasting, the whole video thing. I'm videoing tonight, and I don't know if this will go on YouTube or not, but because it's going to be me, my ugly mug for an hour, or 4. I don't know. It depends on if I hit a rhythm or not. Probably not. This is actually like the third time I've tried this. Back in the day, I used to do podcast crap. I've been doing it since like 2012, and I've had a bunch of 2 episode, 3 episode, or whatever, and change it up and try to come up with something new and set the world on fire, but it never quite seems to work out the way I want it to. But obviously, I've been doing it since 2012, so I enjoyed doing it. This one is just basically to break back into it. It's been like a 4-month layoff. I'm not ready to quit doing it. I feel like this is one of the only creative outlets I have. It's not really creative per se. not like music or something like that, but you can see part of my drum set back there. I don't play a whole lot anymore because I've got hip issues and back issues and this and that because I'm getting fucking old, man. I'm going to be 55 in a few months. It's fucking scary. Anyway, still searching for a new co-host. So it's just going to be me for the time being. It might be one episode. It might be 10 episodes. And it might be just me going forward. I don't know. I'm not quitting. I'm not going to quit. At least until my Podbean subscription runs out in March. So I got a few more months. I'm going to get my money's worth out of it anyways. But enough about that. We're like 6 games into the NFL season. It's been a very, very frustrating season so far. It's beyond frustrating. It's fucking ridiculous. But I'm a huge Denver Broncos fan. Have been for 100 years. Well, not 100, but close. But that's the problem with doing a podcast by yourself. You want to take a sip of wine, and then it's just dead air for, 30 seconds or 20 seconds or whatever. 30 seconds. I guess that's not a sip. That's a swig. Yeah, the Broncos have been terrible pretty much basically ever since they won the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 50 back in whatever year it was, 8 years ago. We've gone through, like I said, we're 1-5 this season. My wife and I were so excited because the Broncos have been bad and it's just life going on, and we watch football. Like last year, we didn't get Sunday ticket because we didn't have a dish, and we weren't gonna get a dish just to get Sunday ticket. And my in-laws, the previous 2 years, had a dish over at their house. They lived next door to us. But they got rid of their dish, so we couldn't get Sunday ticket over there. We had it there the previous 2 years. So last year we just got the NFL app, and we couldn't watch most of the live games. We could watch a live game if it was actually on local television, but we could watch replays. Like an hour after the game was over, you could watch a replay of the game. And the cool thing about that was you could watch it without commercials. It wasn't like a condensed. It wasn't just like the best plays. It was the whole game. It was just minus the fucking commercials, which that's what's so bad about this year. We got, because YouTube TV got Sunday ticket this year. And so we got YouTube TV. We paid for Sunday ticket. You had to pay for Sunday ticket up front. You had to pay the whole thing, and you can't cancel it. You can no partial refunds, no nothing. But we were excited. We were gonna we're gonna do it up on Sundays. We're gonna have munchies and make it a football day, and then this shit just hit the fan. My wife's a Packers fan, and if you follow the NFL, you know that Aaron Rodgers left the Packers, went to the Jets. And Jordan Love had been sitting for a couple of years waiting for his opportunity. So, and they have a overall young team, the Packers do. And so my wife didn't have like high hopes. It's not like, oh, we're, shooting for a Super Bowl this year. But me, on the other hand, the Broncos, we've been so bad for so long. We had Russell Wilson. We hired Sean Payton as head coach. Both of those moves I wasn't like super stoked about. Russell Wilson's used to be a good quarterback. I watched them rally against the Broncos more than once in a Super Bowl. And that wasn't even a rally. That was just an ass whooping they put on us. But I don't know. Last year was just horrible. He didn't look like the same guy. And like I said, we for the last 8 years we've been lousy. But our defense has been halfway decent. Our defense has actually been, in the top, 10, 12 defenses in the league for the last 4 or 5 years. And I used to say to my wife all the time, because our offense was so fucking bad, I'm like, we're wasting our defense. We're wasting it. Because they keep us in the game, but our offense goes 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And at the end of the game, our defense is just worn out because they've been on the field the whole freaking game. And then they start giving up garbage points because they're just whooped. And it's been upsetting. So had high hopes this year. Like I said, not a big fan of the Sean Payton, Russell Wilson thing. I mean, Sean Payton's making like $18 million a year, fucking head coach. Russell Wilson, we gave away the farm to get Russell Wilson. And I feel like we've made this mistake a couple of times with like Joe Flacco and, other quarterbacks that they're basically at the end of their careers. And we, I don't know. But needless to say, since Super Bowl 50 with Peyton Manning, we've had 12 different starting quarterbacks. And I'm not going to go into all of them. And, there was a few that I thought were going to be the guy, like Brock Osweiler, but he was a bitch. And because Peyton Manning got hurt and Brock Osweiler came in and played, but when Peyton got healthy and we were going into the playoffs, they brought Peyton back, and that stuck a corn cob up Brock's ass or something, and he left the team the following year. But we also had 4 head coaches, which isn't a lot. And Gary Kubiak was the one that got us to the Super Bowl, and we won against the Carolina Panthers. And that was actually in fucking Texas then. It was probably a good thing because I probably would have been in several fist fights that year because I live in North Carolina, very close to Charlotte. But yeah, 4 head coaches. We've had an interim head coach for a couple of games, actually twice. Gary Kubiak, when he was coaching the Houston Texans, basically had a stroke on the sidelines after a game. And he left for a while, and he came back, and he coached us and for a couple seasons, got us to the Super Bowl. We got a win. And the following season, towards the very end of the season, I felt like he thought he was having some more health issues, and being a head coach in the NFL is a lot of stress. So he left, and we had an interim coach for like one game. But after that, we had 6 straight losing seasons. We've missed the playoffs 7 straight years. It's going to be 8 this year. Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, he's 12-0 against the Broncos. He hasn't lost against the Broncos since he took over as the quarterback for the Chiefs. The Chiefs, including the loss last game we played, they've won 16 straight against us. It's sick. It's fucking sick. The fucking Raiders have won 7 straight against us. It's fucking sad. Excuse me for a second. I have to cough. Pardon me. But yeah, like I said, my wife and I were all excited this year. So I've got a ton of Broncos shit, like a ton that I've over the years, and pre-internet, we used to go to a store out in Arizona when I was on the road with NASCAR, and Arizona didn't have a team at the time, so really the Broncos were the closest team. So there's just a ton of Broncos fans in Phoenix, and this place called Glass Cage Sports. I don't know if they exist anymore, but I remember the first time I walked in there. It was a store at the mall, and I was just flabbergasted. I couldn't believe how much Broncos stuff they had, and I had some money in my pocket back then to spend on shit that I didn't need. And so I bought a bunch of stuff, and then my parents bought a bunch of stuff for me for like Christmas and birthday and stuff like that, and but yeah, so this shit's been packed away for years, a lot of it, I've always had a few things out, my helmets and stuff like that, but not all the I've got some really neat stuff. I don't know if you could even take it to a dump at this point in time. They probably wouldn't allow it. It's probably hazardous materials at this point. But yeah, anyways, this year I'm trying to like condense and go through shit and downsize and it's a very frustrating process, especially when you're like I am. It's like and this is just with the regular shit, like cables and stuff. Like I 3 or 4 times I've had to change out the RCA cables on my, monitors and this and that. And it's like, so the 20 other ones that I have might come in handy at some point in time. It's like, probably not, because the reason you're changing them out is because the fucking things are so goddamn old. They're basically rotting away. And that's why they quit working after a month. But anyways, off topic, I guess. Yeah, I unpacked a lot of it and I put it out and I rearranged the display case that I used to have it all in, because that was just kind of full of stuff. Some of it Bronco stuff, just some of it stuff, but got it all out and moved it in where I could look at it and see it, and it was kind of exciting going through it and putting it out and getting it out of the boxes, because I still, a lot of this stuff is like Danbury Mint stuff. It's like high-end stuff when I bought it. Die cast, like, team bus that, has little coolers and footballs and, like a 71 Chevy pickup truck that's got like a grill and, like a, studio chair or whatever you call it, the people that the actors sit them and it's got their name on the back, but it's not the same thing, but like a giant bag of peanuts and a keg of beer and just really neat stuff. The doors open, the hood opens, the tailgate comes down, and nice stuff. And I've looked some of it up because everybody's just like, oh, just sell it, It's like, because I don't have, like, my thing of it is the reason I didn't put it out was because we had moved a few times, and I was like, I'm not going to keep packing this shit up. It's already packed up. I'm just going to keep it packed up. I'm going to get a few things out, and that's it. But I said, fuck it, like we're going to have a good year. I'm going to get some of this stuff out. I'm going to enjoy it. Like it's not doing me any good packed away in boxes. So I'm going to get it out. I'm going to put it out. And, so I did. To make a long story short, I put it out. But it hasn't fucking helped. The ass kicker is how much money. Dana Lee we talked about it, because the last few years it was like you have to figure out just how to even watch NFL. It's like, Sunday ticket, obviously. You got to have Sunday ticket if you want to watch, the Packers and the Broncos. Now, there's going to be more Packers on regular TV than Broncos, especially because the Broncos have been so bad for so long. Other than a primetime game. But there you go, primetime. Thursday Night Football, you got to have Amazon Prime to watch Thursday Night Football. You've got to have ESPN and to watch Monday Night Football. And you've got to have Sunday Ticket to watch your regular Sunday games unless it's on regular TV. And then if it's on regular TV, then you've got to have, ABC, CBS, Fox, whatever. So you've got to have your local channels, which you can get with rabbit ears, but it's hit or miss depending on where you live. So that's where YouTube TV came in. I just went ahead and got YouTube TV again. Had it for a while. I can't watch TV the old-fashioned way anymore because there's just too many fucking commercials. And that's one of the problems now, because it's like, I love football and I used to love watching football. It makes it hard when you watch the Broncos get, beat 70-20 by the Dolphins, like a historical fucking loss. You don't really want to watch another game after that game. You're just kind of like, yeah, fuck this. Especially, number one is you're pissed off because your team lost so bad. And number two is to watch another game means you have to watch 100 fucking commercials that you've already seen 100 fucking times. But yeah, you have to have so many different avenues to watch sports of any kind anymore. That it's really frustrating. The Broncos or the Packers, one of them is going to win this weekend, tomorrow. One of them is going to win for sure. No ifs or buts about it. You know how I know this? Because we're playing each other. So one of us is going to fucking win. And it would be hilarious if the fucking game ended in a tie. I never even thought about that until just now. And we both had some extra time to prepare because the Packers' last game we were both off this past Sunday. The Broncos had played Thursday night before last weekend, and the Packers had played a Monday night game. So the Packers had a few extra days compared to the Broncos, but we both had extra time to prepare for this game, and that could go one of two ways for the Broncos anyways. I'm not going to speak on the Packers. We've had a little extra time to get our shit together and maybe not look so bad. Or we've had too much time and we're just going to fucking stink up the joint. So we'll have to see. And I'm not even sure I'm going to watch a game. My wife asked me earlier today if I was going to watch it. And I said, probably not. Because I just can't. It's fucking painful to watch them lose so badly. And so often, it's just like, why am I putting myself through this misery? We already spent the money. It's a done deal. I can't get the money back. So that kind of fucking sucks. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here every week and just watch them get thumped. I can't do it. I can't do it. And this is not a sports podcast, by the way. But it's been eating at me. It's just awful. It's awful. And it sucks. I mean, because like if we were both playing well, because basically the Broncos are 1-5 and the Packers are 2-3, I believe. Yeah, 2-3. So 3-11 overall for the season, and we spent, $260 some for Sunday Ticket, and that was with a discount because I got YouTube TV. Having to run the numbers and figure out like, oh God, this is we basically, because I wanted to watch the Little League World Series and stuff like that, and I didn't have ESPN, so I wasn't gonna be able to watch it, and I was like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead, get YouTube TV in August or whatever, right before the deadline, before you lose the $100 discount on Sunday Ticket, which is one thing. They said, like next year it's going to be, $300 and some dollars. And I'm not fucking spending $350 to watch the Broncos lose. I'll go back to the NFL app and I'll just watch the games the next day without commercials. And go from, because that's like $100 or like $85 for the season, so it's considerably less money. And like I said, not having to watch commercials makes it all that much better. I just, I like watching shit live. It's like that's half the fun of it. When you watch it the next day or later on that night, number one, if it's a later on game, you're up till 2 a.m. watching football. And we had to watch it strategically, because if we were playing at the same time, like then you'd see the score of the other game while we were watching the replay of the one game before we got a chance to watch the other game. So you'd already know, and it's like that was the thing. That's a spoiler thing. You kind of have to shut down your phones and computers and stuff on Sundays, and then watch your games when they're available, and then you can reboot and go back live, because inevitably somebody's going to text you and say, "Oh, that place sucks. Sorry about the loss," or and you're only in the first quarter, and it's not like, what's the fucking point of watching the game now? Or whatever. So like you have to kind of just shut off the outside world for 24 hours to do it that way. Okay, so enough about sports and all that crap. Just some random miscellaneous shit that I had jotted down. I saw a video. I can't remember if it was on TikTok or probably TikTok, where you take a frozen pizza, but you don't want to eat the whole thing. You don't want to cook the whole thing. So you can just like put it on the edge of the counter and break it with your wrist. And my wife was out of town. She went on a road trip for like 3 weeks to visit some old college friends and stuff like that. So I ate a lot of frozen burritos and frozen pizzas and shit like that while she was gone. But I figured I'd try that one night. Well, I had a few. And I think I whacked the thing too hard. I felt like I broke my goddamn wrist. And it didn't clean break like it did on the video. So I ended up kicking the whole pizza. It just had a jagged middle part that I didn't have to cut. So not all videos, and I maybe I did it incorrectly. I don't really know. I don't know what the actual procedure is. I thought I followed the instructions from the video. It just didn't work out, and this like bone right here on my wrist hurt for like 3 days. And I didn't hit the counter. It was just the pizza. I guess I just whacked it too fucking hard. I'm really into like office supplies, notebooks, pens, and all that shit. And but the notes that I take for the podcast, I always go back and I take notes, just so I have a general idea what the hell we talked about, and so we don't hit the same topic, 27 times. But I had these cheap composition books is what I use. And like at Walmart when I was buying them, they're like 50 cents. They're probably like $16 now with inflation. But and I had a space pen. I have a couple space pens. And I also have a really nice Parker pen that Dana Lee got me a few years back. And they would just write, and then they would just stop. Like it was like there was wax on the fucking paper. And the thing with the space pens, they're supposed to write like underwater, upside down. But anyways, I'm like, well, maybe cheap notebooks. I happen to be at Walmart, and the old school Bic pens. Remember these? Like, I don't know. they're actually making a comeback. Apparently, it's like the new cool pen, which I didn't know. I was just like, wow, I didn't even know they still made these damn things. So I bought a pack of the like a 10 pack of the black ones. You know, it was like they were like $1.27 for 10 pens. I'm like, cheap pens on cheap paper. Maybe that's what I need to do. And then I forgot how much I like these damn pens. Um, you know, but now they have what they call crystal, and I bought like a 10 pack of these. It's multicolored. They got like all different colors, and they write much thicker. But I was looking because I wanted to just find like a pack of black ones that were the same thickness or whatever. Usually it's medium point, fine point, extra fine. But these are like these crystals are like 1.6 millimeters. So I was looking them up online. Well, they have like 1.2, 1 point, like, it's like, holy shit, how many different versions of these fucking pens did you make? I haven't yet to be able to find the black ones in 1.6. Now one black one did come in the pack of the multicolor ones as well as a blue, because I ended up buying a pack of the blue ones too. But a lot of people don't know this. There's a hole at the top, the removable cap. There's a hole in there, and everybody wonders why there's a hole in there. And the reason the hole's there is in case you choke on it, you can still breathe because there's a hole in the end of it. It wouldn't completely, and that's a true story. It's not. I'm not joking about that. It's real. I mean, I don't know who's, I guess when we were in school, we used to chew on them and shit if you didn't have any gum or whatever. But yeah, the hole's in there so you don't die if you swallow it, because the hole will allow air to still go through. Not a whole lot of air. It's not a big hole. But anyways, yeah, old school Bic pens, and I'm kind of digging them. I'm kind of really enjoying them. I've put all my expensive pens away for the time being, and it'll be a joy to write with the good pens, I guess. But these are actually decent pens. They're I mean, it's the old standard. I mean, this is what we all had when I was in junior high and high school, and that was just a few years ago. Like I said, Dana Lee moved to Florida, and shortly thereafter, Hurricane Idalia decided to rear her ugly head, and they got evacuated, and they had to go out of town for a couple of days. But they're staying at my uncle's house temporarily. Dana Lee's working at a campground down there. Yeah, he's got a thing for campgrounds, that's for sure. But yeah, they had to evacuate for a few days. It could have been a lot worse. My uncle's house did not. It was just high enough where it didn't get flooded. They were actually at one of the higher points in the town, so fortunately they didn't have property damage, which is good. But Dana Lee was not digging the whole hurricane and having to leave, and he was wanting to leave like 2 weeks before it even got there. And it's like, well, we don't know where it's going to go yet. I mean, there's no point in leaving until you know where the hell it's going to go. So it'll be interesting to have a conversation. Well, I mean, I've had conversation with him about it. But maybe we'll have him call in, or if he gets back up here or something, we'll have him give us the lowdown, because I know he's, he can be very detailed about things like that. So, yeah. The other day, I decided that I'm doing something different with, because we used to do like the Does It Suck, and for TikTok. It was just a, just a thing where we try food or whatever. And but I always shot it with the same camera I'm using now, the Zoom Q8. I never shot it with my phone because doing the portrait mode, it would never give me enough wide enough angle to get, 2 or 3 of us in the shot. So I always just use the camera and use portrait mode. And so I decided that I'm going to, just start shooting TikTok videos with the phone. And I'm not going to use any other cameras for TikTok videos, just the phone. I'm going to shoot the video on the phone, just edit it on the phone. Well, I didn't say I was going to edit it on the phone. What I did is I went out and I was just fucking around, and it was a cool day out, and so I went out and I shot a video with my phone out in the backyard. Did some slow-mo shit, and I did one that wasn't slow-mo. And I came in and I edited them both, and when I downloaded them, and I was joking with my wife, I said, yeah, when I get them done, they're probably going to be just like these tiny little, Now, I fucked something up, obviously. I'm just not exactly sure where I fucked it up. Probably in the editing program, I probably should have, there probably was some way to edit it in portrait mode or whatever. But anyways, yeah, the videos actually turned out really tiny. And so I had to scrap that whole fucking thing, which was a bummer. And so now I'm going to shoot it with the camera on the phone, or the last couple that I did shoot with the camera on the phone. And there's going to be like minimal editing. It's just going to be, skimming off, a few seconds here and a few seconds there. And so, yeah. But yeah, that's how I fucked up a TikTok video, and I'm bummed out about it. I mean, I did save the raw footage, but it's not TikTok. I could put it on there, but it'd be so tiny that you'd need a magnifying glass to put in front of your phone just to be able to see it. So, kind of a bummer, but lesson learned. You live and you learn. This is how you do this shit. You fuck shit up and have to start over again. So with the prices of groceries being so fucking crazy, ridiculous expensive, and I don't know why I haven't been doing this before, but started watching this guy on TikTok. He's an older guy, and I should know his name, but anyways, he compares. He doesn't just exclusively do Aldi's, but he does a lot of Aldi stuff. He'll get like a bag of Doritos, like an actual bag of Doritos, and then he'll get like the Aldi's version of Doritos and blind test them. His wife he calls Mrs. Cheap. I guess he's Mr. Cheap and his wife is Mrs. Cheap. But that's not the name of his TikTok channel. But yeah, he blind tests them, and then he picks one, and a lot of times it's the Aldi's brand. So I was like, I really need to start going to Aldi's. I at least need to go there and just check it out and just see. And so I did, and I just bought some munchies and stuff like that. I bought like, they didn't have at least I didn't see them, the Aldi's Doritos. But they had corn chips, which corn chips are like chili cheese corn. They don't have like a chili cheese version at Aldi's that I've found. But chili cheese Doritos or Fritos, man, they're fucking awesome. But they're like $6 a bag now. It's freaking ridiculous. But I mean, just regular Fritos are good too. So I bought some of the Fritos, and I bought some snack mix, like trail mix type shit, which was like $5.50, $5.75, which like a bag like that anywhere else is going to be like $10, $12. I can't remember what else I bought, but I was pleasantly surprised. The Fritos weren't all that great. They were kind of bland. I did eventually find the Aldi's Dorito type thing. They weren't that great either. But the Cheetos, the Aldi's Cheeto version, they're not the same as Cheetos, but they're good. I think I bought like 8 bags of those since. I found some dip. Their chips aren't bad. A loaf of bread is 50 fucking cents, man. Now it's just plain bread, It's not fancy, bread. It's just a regular loaf of bread, but 50 cents compared to like 350 or 450. I just went there yesterday and I bought they have this dip. It's like a bacon cheddar dip, which is not too bad. And I bought a bag of chips, and I bought 2 bags of the Cheetos. Now, like the Aldi's brand Cheetos, not Cheetos. I bought some apple cinnamon muffins, which I haven't tried those yet, but I had bought some bakery cookies that they had there that were actually pretty good. Like I said, I bought a loaf of bread. I can't remember, but it was like $19.60. Now, if I would have went to one of the local grocery stores and bought the equivalent of that, it would have been, $35 or $40. Now, the first time I went to Aldi's and got all that stuff, I got home and I went onto the grocery store app where I would have probably bought the stuff. And and some of the stuff was on sale at the regular grocery store. And if I had gone to that grocery store and bought the stuff that I bought at Aldi's, it would have been literally twice as much. It was like $30 worth of stuff. It would have been like $62 at the grocery store. So it's worth checking out, man. And we also have a Lidl in town. So yeah, you gotta pinch where you can. And like I said, I won't buy the Fritos again, and I won't buy the Doritos again because they just weren't that great. And so I just keep trying different stuff. But the snack mix is really good, and I don't know. There's not a whole lot I can say. You got to save money where you can save it. The endless streaming apps, they're available now. Like everybody's got one. But the funny thing is with all the writer's strike and all that stuff, they're all jacking their Netflix, Hulu. Like I'm dropped. Hulu's like it's going to expire in a few days because they're going up, and I'm like, it's tapped out. There's nothing. Like there might be a movie occasionally or something that I'll watch on there, but it's not worth $18 or $20 a month for one fucking movie. I'll just rent the movie on somewhere else. But there's just so many of them. Everybody's got one. And I know some of the strike is over, but I just read that Netflix is jacking their prices up, even though they released that they actually made money. But yeah, but because these actors and writers and stuff, whatever deal they're getting or going to get, it's not coming out of the company's pockets. It's going to come out of our pockets. We're going to pay more, and so you just have to be, I guess, picky and choosy about what you're going to have. And because I have YouTube TV right now, which is basically $80 a month, I'm not going to pay another $18 or $20 for Hulu and $10, $12 for Peacock, and I mean it's expensive as cable TV was. The whole reason everybody started that was we're going to the streaming services because it was cable, cord cutting. It was cheaper, but no. And now the only thing you're going to be able to watch is reality TV because of everything's behind now with the writer's strike and all that. Everything's so far behind that they got all these crappy game shows are coming, like Celebrity fucking Jeopardy. Like whatever. I don't care. I don't want to watch it. And then besides that, it's going to be a half-hour show, and it's going to be 14 minutes worth of commercials during that half-hour show. So I don't watch live TV only when it's like sports. So, anyways, I guess I have gone on long enough by myself, but I'm actually a little bit proud of myself because I made it through, 45 minutes or whatever, which the last two times, I think once was like 12 or 15 minutes and then 10 minutes. And I don't know. We'll find out when I watch it back or listen to it back or whatever. But anyways, thanks for listening. I am the Kid. And you can follow Moist Nougat on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And I won't do that very often, but I figured I'd throw it in there this time. But anyways, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.